to say here on NFL Network for a 23rd time. Welcome to a Super Sunday. My name is Rich Eisen, your humble host here for the next 8.5 hours alongside my coach, Steve Mariucci, former coach of the San Francisco 49ers, Gerald McCoy, who played his last full football game in this stadium. Good to see you.
Yeah.
And my Super Bowl winning MVP himself, Kurt Warner. Good to see you, sir.
And it is good to be here. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is what dreams are made of. This is the thing that we all dreamed about growing up. Played this moment in my front yard a million times with a chance for all of these guys to write their name in the history of the National Football League. And well, we got 9.5 hours until kickoff. You're waking up. You're ready for this thing to start. But all the preparation is done. Right now, it's about visualizing how this thing's going to play out. As I said, I played it in my front yard. I threw the touchdown pass to win the Super Bowl every single time. That's what guys are thinking about right now, is how do I make my mark on the biggest game of the year?
Did you give yourself the game ball every single time?
I don't ever remember handing out game balls.
Because we kind of figure we should start this show by connecting everybody to San Francisco or Santa Clara, Northern California, in a certain way, as we've seen throughout this year, including this man who once upon a time gave himself the game ball after a big victory as head coach of the Niners.
Think you are? I am. Back in 2002, Rich, in the wild card against the New York Football Giants. We were down 24 points in the third quarter, came back and won that game. It was so awesome, such a big deal that, you know what I did? I gave out a game ball to myself. Look at this right here. Zoom in on that thing.
Who does that?
Steve Mariucci?
Who does that? Never heard that before.
Okay, I'm just, truth be told, that was just good television right there. I gave a game ball to everybody on that team. Okay?
Good for you. Even though there's an I in Mariucci.
There's two eyes.
Two eyes. My bad. I miscounted. Gerald McCoy, we've got to give you your flowers, sir.
Okay.
Not just because of what you're wearing on your sport coat. Back in the Halloween edition of NFL Game Day Morning, where we have our annual segment of a team doing well if they're a trick, meaning they're not so good at their fugazi, or a treat, you, dressed as a Patriot, had this to say.
I know what everybody's thinking. The Black Patriot. And even though we're on this field in the 1700s, I probably would have been in a different field. But anyway.
What's wrong with you? You called him a treat.
They were a treat, and they are a treat. And I'm happy to be here to watch them play and see if they can win today.
Against the Seattle Seahawks. And then Kurt Warner with us hanging in San Francisco all week long. What a beautiful city. I mean, it's been incredible. But also, if you walk the streets, you gave everybody a little bit of foreshadowing earlier this year when you were dressed as a beatnik.
Oh, boy.
I believe this team is just going to keep on trucking, bringing good vibes, and bringing a brand new
Tandy.
Oh, Kurt, I had no idea.
Who knew?
Yeah, who knew?
We didn't see that one coming.
No, and you will probably never see that one again.
Ladies and gentlemen. And then, of course, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it's Super Bowl 23 for us. It's our 23rd Super Bowl here on NFL Network, and we were here in this stadium 10 Super Bowl ago for Super Bowl 50. There we are, right there. So, look at us. Look at us. Kurt, where's that haircut these days?
I don't know.
Mooch?
A lot of gray now.
How about us right there?
None of us had much gray then, but here we are today.
Look at us.
Where are you?
Well, freezing our butts off for Super Bowl 50. And, you know, obviously we're going to see later on today who hoists the Lombardi Trophy for Super Bowl 60. We almost saw the Broncos back in this one, but we all know the Patriots in the AFC Championship snow globe moved on, and so did the Seattle Seahawks, beating San Francisco for a third time, beating the Rams in a third meeting to make it to the home of the San Francisco 49ers where they could hoist the trophy. I hand you, Steve Mariucci, the reins, as always, for a Super Bowl storyline for Super Bowl 60. Have at it.
You know, how about the rebirth of this Patriots dynasty? Depends on this young quarterback named Drake May. In just his second year, he looks to become the youngest quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl. And remember, he's going to channel his inner Tom Brady, because Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl in just his second year in 2001, Rich. And, you know, we all know about that because Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, that began one of the greatest dynasties in all of sports, winning 6 titles. And now it's time for Drake May and Mike Vrabel to make their mark and reboot this dynasty and get them back on top where they belong.
And I know we don't allow stacking, but I'm going to stack on top of your storyline and just add that this is, for me, the tale of 2 quarterbacks. Is that you talked about Drake May, the golden boy, drafted 3rd overall, and there are a lot of different ways to find yourself to the mountaintop. You got a second-year guy, you got a guy with his 5th team, you got a guy here that worked in a grocery store. There's a lot of ways to get here. So all those dreamers that are out there, there's not just one path to the Super Bowl.
And you guys' storyline leads to my storyline. I'm focused on who are the other guys? Who are the guys we're not talking about? We've talked about Drake May and Sam Darnold and JSN and Stephon Diggs and Milton Williams and Leonard Williams. But who are the other guys for the Seahawks? How about Ernest Jones, who led his team in tackles? How about Byron Murphy, who tied for the lead, his team lead in sacks, Super Bowl MVP? Let's go the other side to the Patriots. Christian Barmore, who had a sack in the AFC Championship game. Carlton Davis, who played in and won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. These other guys, the other role players who had a major role in their team's success and will be factors in today's game.
The MVP of Super Bowl 50 was, in fact, a defensive player. It was Von Miller. Maybe that would happen if Seattle wins. Who knows what the Patriots can affect on that side of the ball. They are the top 2 scoring defenses in the NFL. That's the matchup of mics in Super Bowl 60. Steve Mariucci and I holding our mics, which is not a metaphor for anything. With the first topic bar of this segment, the more impressive coaching job, Mike Macdonald, or the coach of the year, as he won the award Thursday night, and Mike Vrabel. Steve?
Mike.
Nice, good one.
But you know what, both guys really did a great job this year. But getting to the point, I just got to give kudos to Mike Vrabel. Yes, he was the coach of the year. In fact, it's the 2nd time. He was the coach of the year, Rich, over in Tennessee. He does such a great job. He won 17 games this year in the team ever. So I give him a lot of kudos because he brought in new coaches, new systems. First year, what a wonderful job.
So Mike Macdonald, though, trying to become the Super Bowl winning head coach in just his 2nd year for the Seattle
Amazing
Seahawks.
Job by him,
in his first job as HC. As we all know, Mike Vrabel won coach of the year for the Tennessee Titans before taking home this year's award. How do you cover a team at their hotel before sunup? Let's ask Cam Wolf how to do that. Cameron, take it away.
Rich, the Patriots' defense mission today: play with aggressive violence and take the world's respect. It starts with their big game defensive tackle, Milton Williams, who told me they see Sam Darnold as similar to the Texans' C.J. Stroud. Williams said the plan is we're going to speed up his clock with our pass rush, and we're confident he will put the ball in harm's way like C.J. did. The Patriots' defense, I'm told, prepared to blitz heavy today and lean on their elite run defense to make Seattle one-dimensional. Williams told me we're a bunch of cast-offs who no one believed in. But we're going to get our respect. We're going to take our respect with violence today. And they're going to have to give it to us when we win the Super Bowl. No better example than Malcolm Butler's incredible Super Bowl interception 11 years ago.
Back loom large in the Super Bowl against Seattle. Christian Gonzalez had his first interception of the season in the AFC Championship game on the Broncos' final offensive drive, sealing the Patriots' 10-7 win and their trip to this stadium representing the American Football Conference today. And you could see how this young man has been superb this season, including the playoffs, in all of these next-gen stat metrics. It's time now for Big Play Experts, presented by Intuit TurboTax. Kurt, Gerald, take it away.
All right, Jared, let's talk about it. You're my defensive expert. So
Yeah.
Christian Gonzalez has been great. Sam Darnold was great in the championship game. So I'm going to ask you, should this guy over here stay away from targeting Christian Gonzalez in this game?
Well, you know what, Kurt? Although Mooch hates Warner's corner, I actually love talking to you, Kurt, because I learned things from my Hall of Fame quarterback. And I asked you a lot of questions. I said, Kurt, do you ever avoid when there's a top corner on the field? Do you ever avoid throwing that way? And one thing I learned from you is you never went into a game saying, oh, I'm just not going to throw over there just because that player's there. I'm going to use the game plan and take what the defense gives me. I'm not going to risk a worse throw just to stay away from one player. So I believe that Sam Darnold should throw wherever the best option is. If it's by Christian Gonzalez, then throw over there. You know, take what the defense gives you and make the best play for your team.
Well, you got to remember, I said that, and I had all these Hall of Fame wide receivers on the outside, so I wasn't afraid of anybody over there. But I will say this, they don't play a whole bunch of man coverage. If they're going to play man coverage, it's going to probably be JSN against Christian Gonzalez. I like that matchup for Sam Darnold. But more importantly, you look at the way they like to play. Christian Gonzalez likes to play in off coverage, especially when they're in zone coverage. If you've got a guy in off coverage, you can beat them with the underneath throws. Here, it's a quarters coverage. I know everybody looked at this and said, oh, they hit a huge play against Christian Gonzalez. He's looking for a little help from the safety, but playing in off coverage, they're able to get the big post. If he does play man, if he does go in the slot, I believe that's going to be against JSN. Again, I will take that matchup if I'm Sam Darnold. A great corner in Christian Gonzalez, but I like the matchup with Sam Darnold. A little back shoulder right here in man-to-man coverage. So I believe they can attack him when they play man coverage, only about 35% of the time. But him against JSN could be a great matchup in Super Bowl 60, Rich.
Our insiders are really outside the building. Take it away, Ian Rappaport, Judy Batista, Mike Garafolo, and Tom Pelissero. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Rich, and welcome outside with the insiders. It is Super Bowl Sunday, so we are legally obligated to begin with the future of Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers has not yet informed the Steelers whether he will return for a 22nd NFL season, but my understanding is the odds are increasing. I am told Rodgers has spoken several times with new Steelers coach Mike McCarthy, who of course helped Rodgers develop into a 4-time MVP and a Super Bowl winner in Green Bay. Rodgers also has spoken with wide receiver DK Metcalf, who wants Rodgers back at age 42. The plan is for Rodgers to take a little bit more time, and everyone hopes comes to a decision prior to the start of free agency in mid-March. Now, this is Aaron Rodgers, Mike. Only he knows ultimately where this is going to go. If he's going to come back, they need to work out a contract. But at this point, it would not be a surprise if Rodgers is back in Pittsburgh.
Does he know if he's coming back? We don't know yet. We'll figure it out. Let's go elsewhere in the AFC North. To another quarterback, Lamar Jackson, and I know the speculation has begun. Could the Baltimore Ravens potentially trade Lamar Jackson?
We do know more about the future of Matthew Stafford, who really ended all discussion by stepping on the stage after winning a razor-thin MVP vote and said he will be back, going to run it back with the Los Angeles Rams, which elicited a spattering of applause from the audience, including Sean McVay, who jumped to his feet and was all excited as if he didn't know, but probably actually did know that Matthew Stafford was going to be back, turned 38 years old yesterday. This is excellent news for the Rams, considering how he played. He is fully healthy this offseason. Still a little bit of a question, though, Judy. He is due $40 million this year. I would be surprised, based on what I know, if Stafford played for that. So there was a contract discussion last year that had Stafford back in L.A. Expect another one for the Rams and a little bit of a raise for their MVP.
Well, Matthew Stafford will eventually be a Hall of Fame candidate, but in the immediate future, the Pro Football Hall of Fame is likely to make changes to its voting procedure and perhaps to the people who are voting in the wake of this year's vote, which, of course, included the snub of Bill Belichick. I spoke to Jim Porter, the president of the Hall, yesterday. Here are some of the changes they're contemplating. Reducing the size of the panel that votes, changing the makeup of the panel that votes. They want to include some game historians, maybe former GMs, reducing the number of modern-era players who make it to the finalist stage. That number is now 15. And finally, making the votes public. The bottom line here, Porter wants to make sure the voters are selecting the absolute best candidates who are on the ballot each season. Certainly there was some question, Tom, about whether that's what happened this year.
Well, certainly that's an important part of this process. We'll be talking about that 1 year from now as well. Also, breaking news here, Rich, just in. Sources say sunrise is set for 7:04 a.m., so it should be warming up for all of us very short.
Good scoop.
All right, thanks very much. Always a great moment. at NFL Honors when the latest Hall of Fame class gets introduced. Congratulations to Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri. Long wait for Roger Craig, and of course, a first ballot quarterback in Drew Brees. As anyone with a sports media pulse would know, much has been made about who didn't get into Canton this year, which of course does not do any justice for the 5 men who in fact did. So let's spend some time on that now, with the moments when each new member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame received their famed knock on the door. As always, fair warning, it's about to get dusty in here. Or where love the knocks on the door. I love all of it. The presentation, Fouts saying hey to Drew Brees and Haley, you know, and the rest of those, you know, Ronnie Lott representing the old Niners saying hey to Roger Craig. That's so great.
I mean, I started crying when I saw that.
It's so great.
Yeah. I love the way we do this.
I know. So let's talk about this class.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'd be happy.
Larry,
to go
obviously.
first. Yeah, let me start with Larry. How cool was that we got a chance to introduce them at Honors?
That was great.
The other night. But such a special individual. You know, I got a chance to get together with Larry, and it's just his 2nd year in the league, and watch the. You don't have very many kickers, just 2 place kickers, 1 punter in the Hall of Fame. Adam Vinatieri, to me, also encompasses what you think about with a Hall of Famer. Is in the biggest moments. He played as well as anybody at the position. I got to see that up close and personal as well back in Super Bowl 36. But the greatest big moment kicker that we've ever had gets his name called for the Hall of Fame as well. So a couple guys that I have a little bit of a background with, and I'm so happy for them.
Yeah, and I got a background with a couple guys, too. I'm going to start with Drew Brees. And I always have the biggest grin on my face whenever I get to see the Hall of Famers walk on stage. But I personally went to NFL Honors so I could hug Drew. And I'm really keeping my emotions together because Drew is a big reason of why my career went the way it went, because I watched him up close in person. I trained with Drew every offseason of my career with Todd Durkin, our trainer. And everybody's just seen the on the field. They didn't see how this guy would be on the treadmill in his QB stance on the treadmill. He was the ultimate competitor, the ultimate leader, and I owe a lot to Drew. So when I got on stage and was able to hug him in his moment, it meant so much to me. And then I played with Luke Kuechly. I was in the building with Luke when I went to the Carolina Panthers. And the thing about Luke Kuechly is I called him a microprocessor. This guy was a computer. On the field, he would call out everything that was happening. And he was so fast and so ferocious. We would be in the building. I got to the building early. Luke is already there watching film. I stayed late. Luke is in the meeting room watching film. So when he gets on the field, Luke didn't just know what the opposing team was doing. He knew everything about them, their family members and all that, man. Luke deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and I couldn't be prouder of these 2 men.
I feel like we could talk for hours about this class because it's such a bunch of great guys and great careers that we know personally. But let me fill the audience in on Roger Craig. He's the senior induction member, and you know, fans today know who Christian McCaffrey is, the dual threat guy that catches the ball and runs. And then your buddy there, our buddy, Marshall Faulk, was that guy, right? The dual threat running back. Well, this guy was the first. Roger Craig was the first guy, you can see it right here, in NFL history to record 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving yards in the same season. He got that high knee action from Nebraska, hard to tackle, but he played in split backs most of the time. He wasn't an eye tailback, and they would have to block too. Block and catch and run and do everything. And he, you know, I'm so darn happy that he is now in the Hall of Fame. He's been waiting, Rich, a long time. He got so darn emotional. I did too.
Well, Kurt, you mentioned earlier in this segment about how you and I presented the class for honors, which is an honor for me to do it every year, and then to be standing next to you as well was exactly that. And for those who are wondering, we don't know who's in the class until they make you, like every presenter for honors, go backstage and read the copy on the teleprompter to rehearse about what they're about to do on the stage. And remember thinking to myself as you're going through that, reading Larry Fitzgerald's copy, I thought to myself, how cool that you get to introduce Larry Fitzgerald. And then later on, as we're reading the copy, they gave you Adam Vinatieri, and I thought to myself, how cold is that? I almost came close to you saying, do you want to switch?
You want to switch those?
But when it was over, and we read through 5 names, and Drew Brees was the last one, I thought to myself, is that it? That's the class? Because, again, I understand we're talking about who's in. The fact that Belichick and Kraft didn't make it from the group of 5 that 3 needed to be voted in, and Roger Craig was the only one of the senior committee members, along with L.C. Greenwood and Ken Anderson, who was in the same bucket of voting as Belichick and Kraft. Only 1 made it. And then there's only 4 members of the finalist group that's in their current time of being eligible. They left 3 spots open in Canton, and I turn to the Hall of Famer here, and I understand we just heard about the new rule voting, but how do you feel about the way the voting process is going right now, Kurt?
Well, yeah, obviously the changes that were made a couple years ago has really affected how this thing plays out. And, I mean, I think we all feel when it comes to a guy like Bill Belichick, should have been a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer. And when a guy like that is not, we have to sit back and ask, okay, why? What's going on with the process? I've got another guy in Torrey Holt who I believe is overdue for the Hall of Fame. When you're talking about leaving spots out there, or you're talking about the new process when you have 2 or 3 wide receivers stacked up and you've got to decide which one's going to be a Hall of Famer, I believe what we're starting to see is maybe someone believes they all should be, but maybe this guy more right now, and they start Xing each other out. And so guys that should be in the Hall of Fame are not getting the necessary number of votes because of the way the process is now and the percentage that they have to get. So I definitely think we have to take a step back. We've got to ask the questions why. We've got to make sure we've got the process and the criteria right so we get it right every year.
I don't understand how, again, I heard what Judy Batista said in the last segment with the insiders. I don't understand how having fewer finalists might help get more enshrinees, unless you're taking out some of those players that might X each other out. I don't understand.
There's 15
that process
right now, right? Maybe cut it to 10.
But if you do, what does that mean? That there's fewer people? I just want to see people who deserve enshrinement at some point get it while they're on the right side of the grass.
Absolutely.
That's the key to this thing, as far as I'm concerned. And as I mentioned on my show the other day, it's like having a terminal full of passengers at the gate and taking the plane down a runway and have it take off with empty seats on it. And it doesn't make sense to me. And certainly when Belichick and Kraft don't make it, and only one of the 3, that meant one of the 3 members of the senior class, that meant that at some point only one of the 5 that could get in made it. Right. And I don't understand that, Steve.
You know,
I don't
Judy
get it.
Batista outlined some of the things that they're talking about changing, and, and I certainly hope they do, because I think the voters in many ways lost credibility this year, not having Bill Belichick and even Robert Kraft voted in. It was shocking.
It's not just that, because, you know, Jimmy Johnson said he doesn't want to show up at the enshrinement ceremony, and I had Emmitt Smith on my show on Friday, and I told him, hey, maybe you talk to Jimmy, because these are some hardworking people in Canton who need Hall of Famers to return. And Emmitt said, I'm thinking about not going myself. He's pissed. Yeah. There's a lot of Hall of Famers who are very upset about it. And Gerald, you're going to be a finalist next year, so I hope they don't cut back the list in time for you to hopefully make the finalist list.
Wow.
I mean, Gronk. I had Gronk on my show. I said, could you imagine how many Super Bowls you would have had if you had a Hall of Fame head coach? I mean, the whole thing is kind of...
When we talk about Jackson Smith and Jigba, he went from first-time Pro Bowler last season to the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year this season. To ask about his growth, I went to a pretty good resource, his teammate and 2021 Offensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl MVP that season, Cooper Kupp. Kupp told me that what he's seen from JSN's development this season is his patience, his focus, his resilience, the discipline, knowing that defenses are now trying to take him out of the game. And he may not be able to take over a game in the first half. It may not show up for him in the first and second quarters, but he's been able to fight through that, stay focused and locked in each and every play, trying to win the next rep. And we've seen him show up in the second half, taking over games and making all those clutch catches in the fourth quarter. And as well as Patriots corners Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis have played this season, that patience might be a virtue in Super Bowl 60 tonight. Kurt, for more on that discussion and that matchup between JSN and those Patriots corners.
All right, it's time for 2-minute drills presented by Lowe's. You've earned Sunday football. So we're talking about tools here. Does this Patriots defense have the tools to stop that guy right there? Well, because not very many people have been able to do it all year long.
Almost 1,800 yards receiving, led the league. Nobody stops this guy. But you know what? Christian Gonzalez is pretty darn good, isn't he?
Yep.
This guy is a Pro Bowler, perennial Pro Bowler. I think he's going to travel with him a little bit. You go there, I go here. But if he's not, they got that other guy named Carlton Davis. You know what they're going to do?
What are they going to do?
Blanket the receiver over there. They're going to put that blanket on him, and they're going to cover Jackson.
A blanket. That's a tool?
Your hair's all messed up.
Okay, that's okay.
A Lowe's blanket.
Here's what I'm going to say. The tool that they're going to need is a stud finder. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, no. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, because he goes all over the place. You don't know where he's going to show up. They got him on the outside here. You make one guy miss. Nice little chunk play right there. All right, where's he at right now? Oh, he's the number one. Oh, wait, no. He becomes the number two. We get a free run on the safety down the field. He's got the ability to extend it down the field and get a big play. Nice job going up and bodying that way. He's going to take a hit.
You got to find that stud.
They can even put him in the backfield right here. Now who's got to cover him?
I don't know who's going to cover him.
We're going to take the top off with Shaheed. Cooper Kupp's going to grab the other guy. Nobody's going to cover JSN. They didn't bring their stud finder last week. They missed him, but
you got to blanket that guy.
Is going to have to bring their stud finder.